Welcome to Episodes from the Garage, the official, unofficial voice of the Elite Girls Rugby League. 11 teams from Connecticut to South Carolina and some of the best high school girls rugby in the States. Listen in for game recaps, stories, interviews, and more from in and around the e-GRL. Episodes from the Garage is made possible with support from Basecamp 31, a New Jersey nonprofit that brings individuals and businesses together to invest in healthy community and personal development through shared human experience. And now, Episode 5.
Oh, Episode 5. It feels like it's been a little bit since Episode 4, but we definitely have a lot to cover, so that's good. Great to see you guys again. Not that we don't see each other enough during the week and on the weekends, but always fun to, let's say, kind of pull it all together at the podcast. So a little shout-out to our buddy Brian Ahern, who can't be here today. Unfortunately, his day job's getting in the way, and he's in Geneva doing work things, and I'm sure enjoying himself. But sorry you can't be here, brother. But let's go around the horn and reintroduce ourselves again, and let's add a little twist to it this time and say, what are you wearing? So, Chris, kick it off.
Sure. Hi, Chris Production O'Brien. Today I'm wearing a new collaborative outfit, and with the help of Mr. Jim King, that's Reagan King's father from down in Maryland, but plays for rugby for Doylestown in Pennsylvania. So Jim helped us out with a great creation for the Sappy Dads phrase there a couple of months ago.
Thought they were from Delaware.
Delaware?
Yeah,
They
Delaware.
are.
Smyrna.
Yeah,
I do apologize.
Here.
Smyrna, that's where we were recently.
Puff
so.
up your chest. I'll read it. What do we got?
You got it?
Sappy Dad. Rugby dad that will move mountains for his daughters. Generally the coolest dad in the group. Well done, Jim King.
Yeah, well done.
Good stuff, Jim. Thank you.
Very nice.
Bill Dobbs.
Bill Dobbs. I wanted to work Marsupial in, so I just did. So I am wearing a Virginia Tech women's rugby team hat today. This is a shout out to my daughter Emily for getting her first start at blindside flanker
Well done.
Sunday against Penn State. So
Awesome.
kind of excited
Awesome.
about it. I was hoping to go, but don't think it's going to happen.
Never know.
Hopefully they live stream.
Well, go get him, Emily, and good luck to you and the rest of the team over there against the Nittany Lions this weekend. So what am I wearing? Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Makes
Men's
sense of the
and
whole thing.
women's. Yes, yes.
Wait. This whole time you have been talking about the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, my God, Lord, no. Have mercy, no. Absolutely not. In particular, in northern New Jersey, we wouldn't be doing that. We're talking about the United States Eagles, our national representation, international representation on the rugby pitches around the world.
Took 5 episodes, but I feel like I follow now. It makes actually a ton of sense.
Thank you. More
Finally, after
clarity.
all the hate mail we got,
Well, they are number 2. this year,
Giants fans
the other
wanted to
Eagles.
kill us.
And I'm Mike Eisenhart. I am wearing Army Hawaiian. Go Army beat Navy this weekend. Big weekend in the Eisenhart household. We are heading to D.C. To watch Army play Navy and hope for the best and root for the number 10 there.
Hope for the best is right. So, and you guys will be facing up against 2 of our buddies, right? Leclerc and Murph. Should be an interesting weekend. You know, two good friends of the show. You know, the Morris team and everything, and wish them both well. We're leaning a little bit Army here today, Murph. Apologies, but
Yeah, man.
know,
Sorry, Murph, but gotta go with
Until
the
we have
Black
3
Knights.
at Navy, Murph. Once we get 3 at Navy, then we can.
I like it.
The
I
scales
like
tipped
it.
at that point. Is that what you're saying?
set the
Yeah.
bar.
It's got to be 4
Oh,
Navy.
I had to set the bar. We got 3 in Army. Harvard's catching up with 2.
Not too bad. Not too bad from 3 great programs either. So looking forward to more of that happening for everybody in the e-GRL as well as Morris. So let's where we left off last time on episode 4 was going into Carolina Ruggerfest. So kind of let's kind of bring that full circle now that it's in the rearview mirror. And I'm going to throw it out to the group. Whoever wants to kick it off first.
I guess I'll start with it since I was there.
Yeah.
Chris was there. Yeah, well, first off, hats off to the people who run that tournament.
100%.
They do such a great job. It is so organized and runs great. I'm sure there's a lot of chaos behind the scenes, but you don't see it. Running tournaments, we know what that's about and how much work that is. Them guys and girls do a great job.
For sure.
As far as the rugby, Yeah, we went down there looking to kick off the rust, play our first games of the season as Morris. There were some other e-GRL teams. In fact, we kicked off Morris versus Wando Wahinis as our first game. So that was a good test for us. I don't remember what the score was, but we got the win. Next game, we played Warsaw, Indiana.
Tough team.
Very tough team. They got the victory over us, but it was a good game. It was back and forth, and I was really happy about that one from my standpoint for our team because we went down 14-0 real quick, and a lot of teams will just fold right at that point. Our girls battled back, and we tied it up back to 14-all. And then it was just back and forth all game.
It was just a punch out. First 3 to 5 minutes of that game, it looked like it was going to be lopsided Morris. Yep. And it's like somewhere, somehow, Warsaw just was like, you know what? Not today. Not today, Jersey. And they got back into the game and then put those 14 up quick. And then it was just for the next, we were playing 20-minute halves, so call it for the next 30 minutes, it was just a back and forth punch out. It was Ali Frazier, you know. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch, and I know the parents from both sides got into it pretty good, meaning very into the game.
Yeah.
And then among other things, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, there was some emotion there. Absolutely, it's tough to, kind of keep that under wraps. It gets out of the way sometimes. I'm not going to say out of hand. It just gets out of the way, and it's like you know what? Let's make a PSA right here, parents, for all the players out there, every team across the nation, just respect the players, respect the game, let the chirping go on the field. The madam at the center will take care of it, and enjoy a great day of rugby. Right?
Exactly.
So day 2, we were in the bowl final, and we had to play our friends from Maryland, West Carroll, and friends.
Yes.
and that was again another tight game, and Morris walked away with the victory in that one. Very, very tight game. Another great punch up. So for me as the coach of Morris, I thought it was great just because we got tested right from the get-go from our first games of the season. And it showed us the personality of our team more than anything. It also gave us a lot to work on. So I was happy with that.
I mean, that's what you go down there for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yes, you want to get people loosened back up and back integrated, but it's preseason. So you're going to go down and get to put some different players on the field who might not otherwise be there. But also, you get to kind of see what the tenor of the team is. How are we going to, where do we go from here? And I think it's a great opportunity to do that early in the season.
Couldn't agree more. And I think you just hit on two really important things. Like where's the culture of the team, right? And which was really good, and that makes you feel good. And then where are, let's say, the fissures, the cracks that we need to kind of work on. And I know you two, Mike, Bill, have been working on it at practice, the contact area quite a lot, and it's like, not that the contact area was really a problem, but we saw that other teams were doing it better, and more consistently. And, I think that, like, for me, I think, under the tent in the quote unquote booth, that's what Brian and I and Chris and Primo were talking about a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you zoom out from Morris, you see that there's almost regional styles, and the game continues to evolve. And some of the things that we're really seeing is, around the breakdown, it's getting very physical and very fast. Like that has sped up, I think, in the last really even 2 years.
Yeah.
The whole game has just sped up in that space. So whereas everybody used to seem to put their effort into the open and get the ball wide and do crazy things with it, now it's sort of like, no, you win the breakdown and you better be there fast.
Yeah.
And I think that our team is probably similar to most teams. Like, if you don't evolve into that, like, you're going to get left behind because the game now rewards you for doing that.
Yeah.
And so, the work has to be done.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great point, too. I think it's only about 2 years that this is really, because I think it all took us by surprise, actually, when we first started seeing it against other teams, right? Mm-hmm. It was like, holy cow, like, that's something we have to address, because it was pod, opens up the outside lanes, get it out to the speedsters, and, it was off to the races, and that's changing because pod, isolated player, and all of a sudden there's a turnover, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's possession. Yeah, and win it back. And I mean, for me at least, I noticed that more and more. Like, people are attacking the ball. You know, like the ball is under attack at all times, and the shape is like now kind of dialed in. Whereas it used to be like you could exploit teams just because they were out of shape, out of position, and like great, you see the space, attack the space. Now it's kind of like no, the ball dictates a lot. So I don't know. It seems to be evolving fast, which is a great thing because we need to do it. Like,
It's a better game. It's more exciting, and we were talking about that before the record button was hit. You know, and different styles of play and what's happening around the world, and it's good to see it happening here in the youth game.
yeah, right on.
Any final thoughts on Ruggerfest as we kind of Bill? I think you did a great job of kind of summing it up, and quick shout out again just to reiterate what you said to the organizers and all the volunteers from Queen's University who were there to help out. But any final thoughts from the group on what was a great knock the rust off weekend?
Well, I mean, from a league perspective, one of the things that I really appreciated seeing, and this was kind of in a back channel conversation, was one of the teams reached out to us and said, "Hey, you guys did a great job videoing. Could I get that video? I don't see it on your channel." Because we want to use that for scouting purposes. And I think that's awesome. I really took that as a hat tip to the effort of the e-GRL. Is that here we are. This is not an e-GRL event. This is a Carolina event. And one of the e-GRL teams is reaching out to us as the organizers and saying, "Hey, I know you put a lot of effort into this. You guys are capturing a lot of information and you're doing a great job with it." So to me, even though I wasn't even there, physically,
Slacker.
It's a hat tip to the production team. I mean, to Chris and you and Brian and Primo on the camera. And I mean, that's highly valuable stuff. And I think that it's really just going to continue to make a difference in the game. So it's nice to hear that stuff in my
Hi, Mom.
Oh, man, absolutely. So, I'm kind of looking at this next topic as really kind of like, the main course of today, right? I'm smiling just thinking about it. So let's talk about the Central Division weekend. Let's talk about the inaugural, quad weekend for e-GRL.
Man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was good. A little chilly, but it was good.
Yeah, I mean, if they could do a little better with the weather in Maryland, that would be amazing. But
No, the Emperor really let us down.
pretty sure
Put a few more quarters in the meter.
we clearly asked for 75 and sunny. But all right, besides that, and maybe one or two other little details. But besides that, I thought it was a huge success. I mean, it was a test, right? I mean, we had to test this idea of can we bring multiple teams together to a neutral location, keep it running, keep the game, fast paced, do the shortened games, harm the product at all? Because now you've got 4 teams there, and those were all question marks going in. We didn't really know. I mean, we had theories, but we didn't really know.
Yeah.
I thought it went really, really well. The quality of the rugby was good.
Yeah.
The flow of the day was really good. I loved how they put the middle school game kind of in the middle, gave both teams a break. West Carroll did an amazing job hosting. I mean, beautiful spread,
off.
social, and the coolest thing.
Technical zones looked wonderful.
Technical zones were and respected the entire time. Well-respected technical zones by all parties.
Untrue.
But it went like it was supposed to go, and I thought that was really, really great. The only other thing I will say is that I loved how you could see the team still doing the friendship thing, and I think that some of that is a result of selects. You now have more kids with relationships, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But they're literally hammering at each other on the field and then hanging out a little bit after. I love that.
Yep.
I think Mike, you just summed it up, and it's another component to the ethos of the game that is rugby, right?
Amen.
It's whatever the format, if it's 80 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, like the way there was in full game, or 20-minute halves, 30-minute halves, 25, whatever the case is. You get out there, you leave it all on the field, and then opposite jerseys walk off arm in arm, slapping each other on the back, and hey, man, you gave me a good one, and I got you on the other side, and it was great.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the first time I ever played was against Boston College, and it blew my mind. I didn't know what as a classic kind of played only American sports growing up. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go out and hang out with the other team now, and I was sort of like, what, what? We're gonna kill them in the parking lot, aren't we? And it was no, no, it's over. The game's over. Now let's go have a good time. And
yeah,
I fell in love with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just awesome, and it's great to see that and this is a hat tip to all of the effort. I mean, all the coaches, everybody's on board with that, and they have been from day one. Which is look, that social piece, it really matters. That's not a frivolous little extra. It really matters.
and again, if you go back to the hosting by the the host side, right, West Carroll, it's like they had hot food out there for everybody, and it was like parents came up to the tent and were like, hey, look, get down there and get some food. It's like the players are coming off, they're hungry, and just making sure everybody was kind of in the day. It was Melody, Brian Melody, and Taylor, really class act.
Listen, I mean, we're going to put Marauder sauce on the e-GRL website for sale.
Exactly.
I mean, it's coming.
Your ad here, Marauder sauce.
Exactly.
Please, I said it the day of. Can you please send some up to New Jersey? That stuff was dynamite.
Yeah,
It was
great.
dynamite.
It was great.
Marauder sauce was a just for our tens of listeners or watchers, is a vinegar-based
We're up to 10?
barbecue sauce for the pulled pork they had, which was unbelievably good.
Divine.
Unbelievably good.
Yeah, man.
Great hosts, though. They really were. All except for that Emperor guy. No, which I kid.
So what else on the weekend? Like what were the other than like the whole thing together? Let's talk about a couple of like pinpoint highlights that everybody's got coming out of it. Like,
I mean, for me, the thing that jumps off the page is that West Carroll is more than likely, we're going to find out this weekend, but more than likely going to take the playoff spot from the Central Division. It's the smallest division, right? So the North and the South each have 4 teams. Central Division has 3. But it's 3 perennially tough teams. You've got West Carroll, you've got North Bay, you've got Doylestown. So going in, like, who knows? That could be anybody's.
Yeah.
And the way it shook out was you had West Carroll beat Doylestown, who beat North Bay, right? So it was kind of like, all right, now North Bay plays West Carroll for the effectively the Maryland State Championship, the Battle of Maryland. That's this weekend coming up. So by the time we get this published, we'll already know the result. But like, we'll see how that shakes out. If North Bay can pull some magic out of their hat, which I think they did last year, just to put it in perspective, I think they did, or somebody got one the other way. I don't know. It kind of shook itself out that way. Then who knows what's going to happen in the standings? But as it stands right now, I think the odds-on favorite is West Carroll. They're looking strong. And listen, I mean, we could talk about that Morris-West Carroll game. We put it on the Instagram. I'll say it again. It was literally like a toe-to-toe heavyweight fight. It was just like two good teams just battling.
Yep.
Yeah, very physical game. But even let's not let the physicality outshine the skill that was out there as well, right? The physicality was a component of the game, but all elements of it were done well, right? And it's like when we talk about the physicality, we're talking about the breakdown, the contact areas, that kind of stuff. Ball was kept under control, and it was managed well off the back in the offense and gotten out to the backs, and there was great work coming across from the offense and then the line speed from the defense. I mean, it was a complete game, in my opinion. In particular, fun to see this early in the season.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, if we're going to do shout-outs like we did last time, I mean, for me, on the West Carroll side, I mean, obviously you have Carolyn Melody and Rebecca Balladares, who are both top-level players. Both of them, young sophomores, going to continue to get better. People should be watching them. But the one that I thought really, who I think has been dangerous for the whole time, I mean, she was good last year, but she really looked good, was Layla Cox, who I think was playing also in the centers maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has a quick step. She's around the ball, and she's a dangerous player. I mean, you got to defend her.
She put, if I'm not mistaken, she put 3 on the board in that game. Two on the board at least, maybe a third. But just super competent. And that was a great team up between Cox and Balladares. Like, I mean, contained at some points, but holy cow, were they threatening throughout the whole game. Like, Morris had to really dig deep to contain that center duo right there.
Yeah.
I got to give it to our centers, Nora and Mac.
Yeah.
Okay?
They that was what I was concerned about in that game, was our centers. Nora, first-year player, maybe second, maybe third game of 15s ever.
Yeah.
Mac a little more seasoned, but not really in the center. She more been wing, fullback, and so there's still a learning curve going on for those two. And my concern was defense, of course.
Yeah.
And they did well.
Yeah.
They played over what I expected.
Yeah, it's a lot to consider.
And I was really happy about that. And so I got a shout out to them.
Right on.
Because they really contained them for most of the game.
100% hat tip there.
I couldn't agree more. And I think Nora, as a new player, has found a spot as the inside. And Mac, who's been playing for a couple of years, and we've had her at fullback, and she's super competent back there in the 15 jersey. But I really like her in the 13 jersey. Really like that.
I'm liking that too.
Yeah,
And that's Molly McPherson, just to be clear. 'Cause
Yeah.
not everyone knows
on
that
the website
she's known as
roster.
Mac within our team.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. So it feels good, guys. I think. I think we're coming off the inaugural weekend of the quads.
Yep.
And so for the viewing audience, the listening audience is, to Mike's point earlier, there's a ton of unknowns, and I think we're coming off of this feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good, and
definitely.
looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, 2 more quad weekends. I mean, basically, we've got the northern weekend, which Morris will host, and we've got the southern weekend, which will be hosted in Raleigh. I'm not really sure which field it is. Off the top of my head, I forget, but I know they've got it dialed in, and so that'll be the 4 southern teams coming together. We'll be down there for the live stream and in the broadcast, and looking forward to that. I mean, the northern one is actually first. I think it's like early April, and then the southern one is like April 29th. But
End of the month.
Somewhere in there.
Well, looking forward to more results from the quad weekends, and we'll certainly be talking about them in the upcoming episodes. Let's talk about a one-off, and that's Aspetuck versus Vienna, I believe, tomorrow. So this is kind of I'm not sure if unknowns is the right kind of phrase here, but I think everybody in the league is going to be watching this game, right? And see what comes out of these two teams. We know Aspetuck, perennially tough side, right? And Vienna, we've heard a lot about, haven't had a lot of contact with. So from 2 different angles, I think there's certainly a lot of curiosity around this table and in that game tomorrow.
yeah, I think you got to be watching it. I mean, if you think you're in contention, that's going to be a really good barometer, right? So Vienna is a tough side who probably should push the southern teams, and may even be, a favorite. I don't know where they shake out, but they've got a quality side with some really good players. Aspetuck, of course, they're always tough, and you expect them to be tough. Now, last year, Vienna hosted Aspetuck. They do like a boys, girls, both teams travel kind of early spring. And I think Vienna got the better of them by a little. I think the way I understood it was Aspetuck didn't travel with their full side or was a little low on numbers because kids were still wrapping up winter sports at that point. So this will tell us a lot. This year it's just the reverse. Vienna's coming north. The only other thing, of course, is we're expecting rain, so who knows what that does. Could make it a sloppy sort of fest. But
Ball will be kept tight.
Yeah, but it's going to – I mean, I'm looking at it that way. I'm looking at it as this could tell us a lot about how things shake out.
I agree, Mike. Bill?
No, I agree. I really have nothing to add.
I guess that was comprehensive enough.
I'm curious.
Nailed it.
I'm curious. Like
Nailed it.
I know Aspetuck. I don't know Vienna. Know some of the players from selects from both teams, and it's really it. I mean, I don't know numbers. I don't know how the other team's doing numbers, and that's the thing. One year a team could be up, and you lose a couple players, and you're down. It's high school rugby. I mean, so
Don't we know it?
it's interesting. It should. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up on Aspetuck Vienna. But for both those teams, the coaches, the coaching staff, the players, the parents, we'll be watching. We'll be watching for sure. So I think kind of an interesting chat before we kicked off for episode 5 was what are you guys watching in rugby, and kind of what's on your mind about the game?
I mean, for me, I think the thing that jumps off the page is this idea of the tackle height. We've seen more and more of it. It's gaining some steam. World Rugby, somewhere around middle March, came out and said, hey, we're looking for unions to pick this up. The head injury problem is an issue. We've got to somehow dial this in and figure it out. And I suspect, just given where we're positioned as a nation and also what's happening in the next 10 years, that we'll probably adopt a lot of the things World Rugby asks us, looking for volunteers kind of a thing. Like, sure, we're putting our hand up.
Yeah.
And I think what that ultimately means is tackle height's coming down. Probably below chest height, maybe as low as the belly button, that kind of like that's, and I think that it's a balance, right? Like, and I don't know where I shake out on it, to be honest with you. On the one hand, like from a safety perspective, when I put my, my healthcare provider hat on, I go, yeah, we should keep heads away from heads. Like bad things happen to humans when we, at speed go head to head. On the other hand, it's like, well, it changes the game. I mean, like it definitely is going to have an impact. You might like that impact or you might not like that impact. To me, that's like okay, discuss, like I don't know.
Yeah, I 100%. Okay, discuss, right? To me, in particular with younger players and their whole lives ahead of them, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I like, we have a young lady on the team right now who shall remain nameless, who is struggling with this right now, and is like, it's taking her out of the game for the foreseeable future, but for in my opinion, for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because you got a long life ahead of you. So either safety's not the right word, but it's for longevity, I guess.
Like longer term welfare.
Exactly. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
I'm definitely for it. I think it's going to change the game. A lot of, like I think you were saying earlier, it's going to make the offload easier.
Sure.
But if the kids are tackling right, lower, especially like with a chop tackle or something, I'm not saying go all the way down to the knees, but I'm saying just getting low, that can also take the offload away. If you're putting them on the ground real
quickly, right?
And then now the jackal's on. So I definitely don't like. That's one of my things as a coach. Even when I was coaching men's teams, the high tackles drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Either by my own players or my players getting high tackled.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it still does. If somebody's up around the shoulders, it's the only time you're going to hear me. One of the only times you're going to hear me on the sideline yelling.
Too many bad things can happen.
Yeah. So I'm all for it, especially at this level.
Yeah, I do think that's what they're seeing internationally. A lot of the international unions are saying, like, youth up to a certain point, right? So they'll score these levels and they'll say, hey, like in professional game that might be different, but kids and amateurs probably don't need to be playing at the same speed and with the same flexibility as professionals. And professionals know the risk that they're undertaking here to some level, so they can choose or not choose to take that risk, right? But when you're dealing with kids, different story.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Last year, I think back in England actually was when they started the trial over there, and I remember seeing a lot of noise, I would say, on social media, friends back there who were in the game or coaching the game and were very concerned about what it would do for the game overall, right? But I think to your point around at the senior levels, okay, it's very different to where we're coaching, right?
Sure.
In terms of the youth level. And especially the technique we're always coaching the kids is to go in at the lower height anyway.
Yeah.
So if the laws are now coming down to that, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Shane from Doylestown said it. He was the first person I heard it from. Then I heard it on something else that I was watching on the internet. Tackle under the ball.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's the first time I've ever heard that was from Shane. Just maybe 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I love that. I say it almost every practice now. Tackle under the ball. And if you're tackling under the ball, you're at waist height.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty rare people
But-
hold the ball by their face.
Yeah. Well, it happens, but.
That's going to backfire on us one time.
I can't wait. I hope I'm paying attention when that happens.
I tackle
There
the
it is,
ball.
Mike. There
Where's
it
the
is.
line out?
That's who Bill was referencing for those out there, Shane Flynn on the coaching staff with Doylestown. But let's see what this brings along, because Mike, like you said, as a healthcare professional, and us as fathers of players and former players, and just fans of the game, let's keep it moving. And moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky business, right? I mean, the thing that I think we forget is that a concussion, and some of that might be generational. I know, like, for me, when I was growing up, like, getting your bell rung was a normal part of, like, contact sports. Like, you
Shake it
got
off.
your bell rung. You had a stinger. Like, all these kind of, like, we had all these names for it.
Euphemisms for
Yeah. Now we know enough to go, no, that we call that a brain injury. Like, probably not a good thing. You don't want many of them. Okay, fair enough.
I couldn't agree more. Let's drop into another topic here. Bill, you brought this up, and I'll pass the ball to you. Emerging.
Tag, Mike, you're it.
So the emerging weekend. Yeah.
So Bill just threw a hospital pass to Mike, but he fielded it well, and he's on the move.
He got tackled under the ball.
Under the ball, broken ribs. So the emerging weekend. Yeah, it's building quickly, and this is actually the first time we're going to announce it anywhere. It's grown. Mm-hmm. It's built. It's grown. It's evolved. It's no longer just a couple of teams coming in locally, to kind of get the e-GRL platform. Now it could be top level athletes all the way from, let's call it U16 to U23, who are looking to say, go Eagles.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So here's the bottom line.
Explain that.
Punchline. Okay, here you go. We are hosting on the same weekend USA Rugby ID Camp at the same facility. So at Bund Park on Sunday. We're Saturday, Sunday for the emerging weekend. On Sunday, at Bund Park and at Base Camp across the street, we're going to be hosting USA ID Camp, which is amazing. So when USA Rugby announced they have I think 12 or 10 ID camps around the country, we were fortunate enough to be selected the host site for the New Jersey, for the sort of Mid-Atlantic region. And
man, that's big news.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it. I think it's a great thing. It's a hat tip, I think, to the work we're doing at e-GRL. And honestly, we're super excited about it. One caveat: it's not just for the girls; it's boys and girls. So we're going to be seeing,
full-on
both
development
sides.
For the ID camp.
Yeah, for the ID camp.
Mike, when I see you talk about this like this, all I can go to is Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein, where he's like, "Let my creation live."
I didn't know where you
Your
were going with that.
excitement is palpable.
Oh man, I mean, how do you not get excited about it? So you look at sort of, this was a crazy idea, year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And it's you can tell, and we've said it before, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we've said it before, this sport is about to pop. You can feel it, the energy is pent up, it's amazing, people are starting to pay attention and see it, and it's just cool to be a part of that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Guys, throw in something on there?
Yeah, for emerging weekend, I think that's going to be a lot of fun, even before the ID camp came in. We have teams from Orchard Park.
Yep.
Corning, New York.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember all the teams.
Hudson Catholic in New Jersey.
And
Hudson Catholic and Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
And we also have Greenwich, Connecticut come to play.
Yep.
Mars's A side that day.
Yep. So included.
And,
Yep.
And Mars's B side will be playing some of the other teams
in
also.
the emerging. Yeah. So that's the way we've structured it. Is those four teams are coming. Orchard Park has a really robust roster. It looks like they're going to have two sides, full A and B side. So that's interesting. Corning, they actually sent the roster in earlier in the week. I haven't looked at it yet, but I would assume they're going to have pretty good numbers. They have in the past, and they're growing and getting better each year. The teams that are coming north, right? So you've got the team from Atlanta who will be coming north, and they've been sort of bouncing around. You're seeing them. They were at Ruggerfest. Played a little bit there. They've got some high-level players, so we're not quite sure what to expect there. And then finally, you've got Hudson Catholic, brand new program, but a brand new program with some pretty strong administrative support. I mean, Ashley Allen's been around the game for a while. She coached play rugby, so she knows how to put the team together. So I would not discount them because they're new. I know she's got basically a brand new roster, kids who have never played the game, but I mean,
I'm sure she's got athletes.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be good.
And listen, I don't think a lot of programs are too far off of where she is right now, right, in this country. There are very few programs that you can point to at the youth level that have long-term pedigree, right? Everybody's kind of learning at the same time.
True.
Yes, you have Greenwich High School. I know when I went to school in Southern Connecticut, always had a team. As a matter of fact, I think Steve Young and his brothers actually played in the off-season for them back in the day. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, Cheshire, Connecticut was a big side. Gonzaga, you always heard about, that kind of stuff. But, very few and far between. I think everybody's kind of in that starting gate.
Yeah.
Whether it's us going back to 2012, which is one of the earlier sides. I'm not sure how far Doylestown goes back. I'd say probably about the same. But, it's a burgeoning, to your point, it's getting there. Right?
Yeah.
It's getting ready to pop.
And I realized when I said the team from Atlanta, I didn't mention Rebels. That's the name of the team. So it's the Rebels Rugby. And so I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good. And my hope is that some of those teams will be also at Rugby Showcase East, so formerly Mars, right? Some will be there, and that will be their chance to play the existing e-GRL teams, which is their opportunity to play into the league.
I love it.
So I think we're going to see a little bit there. We're going to get a flavor for how they're playing and what the level is. And then I think we're going to see it ratchet up in a month, and they're going to really come out and bring their best stuff. Because I think most of them, are looking at this as a chance to expand. And, I mean, look, Corning and Orchard Park, if they both are at that level now, I mean, who knows? There might be e-GRL Midwest or, Great Lakes or something like that conference next year.
Great Lakes. I love it. I love it. All great stuff, guys. We're kind of pulling it to a close. Do we have anything ad hoc on the agenda that we want to talk about?
Oh, you got it. You got to do it.
Okay. Well, a quick chat before we turn the cameras on was about the saber-toothed marsupial.
Oh, my gosh.
So
Is that a thing?
I suspect we finished things on the saber-toothed marsupial.
Do you think it makes that sound?
Okay.
I want one as a pet. I really do. I don't
Let
know
me
my
just say
dogs
that
will
I
go with it.
have to abstain from this because I didn't actually study for today on that topic, so I apologize.
I feel like I want to dive into it a little bit more. I mean,
Do we bring it back next time?
do you think
Episode 6?
it roams the earth saying marsupial?
Marsupial.
Or does it say, I am Iron Man?
Any other topics?
Anyone?
No.
Anyone?
So we
Turns to the audience.
we digress. But anyway, guys, always a pleasure. Sorry. Hey, shout out to Brian. Sorry you couldn't be here. I'm sure you're gonna get a laugh out of
Dude,
listening.
he's
to
in the
this.
Alps, man. He's like, poor Brian. He's out like either, skiing the Alps or,
Yeah, no, I
80s
think they-
neon ski
he's in
suit.
training.
No, I think I heard this correctly, that their team building exercise was yodeling today.
No comment. Marsupial.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and go Eagles.
Thank you for listening to episodes from the Garage, the official, unofficial voice of the Elite Girls Rugby League. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Elite Girls Rugby League and follow us on Instagram at Elite Girls Rugby. Special thanks to our producers, Team O'Brien, Team Chef, Cameraman, and Guy Who Knows a Guy, Primo, and of course our wives and daughters who entertain our crazy ideas and continue to associate with us respectively.
I am Iron Man.